to Patrick's Point of View, where every week I will give my personal opinion on all things spiritual. Now, the first part what we're going to have a look at is possession. Firstly, I'll give you a few facts on possession, and then we will move on to my own personal experiences which I have had with this phenomena. There's basically two different types of possession. The first one is a demonic possession, where the individual is possessed by demons or a devil. Second type is spiritual possession, where they are possessed by a spirit or an unhappy spirit. Now, there is some debate if a demon is an unhappy spirit or if in actual fact it is a demon. In fact, in Buddhism, a demon could be a soul that's suffering in hell and not actually a demon. That is their belief. We will be talking about demons in a later discussion on it, but we're going to stick to this part of it at the moment. The oldest reference for possessions are from the Sumerians. The Sumerians believed that all illness comes from demons. That includes illness from the body and illness from the mind. That was their particular belief. Even nowadays, possession is still believed in our society, which I believe in as well. 1969, there was a survey done of 74% of society which believed that possession was an actual fact. In the Middle Ages, they actually began to recognise the signs of possession and they started to catalogue it. Typically there would be 4 signs of possession. One of the first one would be superhuman strength, speaking in tongues, knowing things that can't be known, and blasphemous rage. Obviously, as we know nowadays, schizophrenia and different mental issues are quite common nowadays, but back in that day they saw all this sort of thing as possession, especially if some poor soul had schizophrenia or bipolar, or they suffered with some sort of illness, or even if they had a bad physical illness, they believed it was possession. Nowadays we know it's not, because we have to look at the medical point of view and the mental health of the person as well, which would make a big difference, but in them days they didn't quite understand that. And that's why it was more popular back in the Middle Ages, where they presumed that everybody was possessed about understanding the illness. Nowadays we know that's not such, and it's very rare that people do get possessed, but it actually does happen. Even nowadays the Vatican Church has to make sure that most people are valued by doctors, healthcare workers and mental workers. Even now Catholic officials will tell you that true, real possession is very rare, but it does happen. There is a few signs of possession which the Catholic Church will say that qualifies you or qualifies the priest to do an exorcism, and the first one is speaking of tongues. For instance, if you're English and you can all of a sudden speak German or Greek, which you have no knowledge of. Also, lack of appetite, cutting, scratching, biting of their own skins, cold feeling in the room, unnatural body positions, changes in their face and in their body, losing control of themselves, where they're getting very angry, where they're attacking other people for no reason, changing their voice where they speak totally different, obviously supernatural strength, knowledge of things which they shouldn't know what has happened to the people who are in the room, also prediction of future events. Levitation is one as well, and the moving of objects and expelling of objects. And obviously the last one is a potential hate of all religion icons and all religion objects. Obviously there's got to be more than one symptom there must be a few. Now we're going to talk about one of the most famous documented cases, the Anna Eklund possession. reason why I particularly picked this case is because the priest who was involved had enough sense to write a pamphlet down on the exorcism and how the guidelines work and what they say, etc. So this has made me very interested in this particular case. Anna was born in 1882 and was a very religious young lady. She actually began about the age of 14, where it was known that she started to hate religious objects and she started hating the church as well and priests, etc. None of the doctors could find any reason for her behaviour, so the priest decided and the family decided an exorcism was called for. Unfortunately, the exorcism was very unsuccessful and it did cause Anna more problems. The reports say that Anna's father and auntie kept on asking the demons to come back to torture this poor soul. We're not quite sure why a father or an auntie would do that to the child. Not a lot was known about Anna in the middle years from the age of 14 to 46, but a second exorcism did take place. But unfortunately, by the time the second exorcism happened, she was possessed by quite a few different types of demons. One of the first demons, which is allegedly was meant to be Beelzebub. Apparently the second was Judas Iscariot, who apparently taunted Anna to try and kill herself to commit suicide. The third one they claim was her father, who was dead within this time. And apparently the fourth was the aunt. So the priest took Anna to a convent, and as soon as she entered the convent, started to present really bad signs of possession. Strangely enough, she could tell which foods were blessed by the nuns, and she refused to eat it. It actually claims that this lady had super strength, could actually run up a wall physically and hold on to the wall. There's also witnesses who claim that Anna levitated as well. Unfortunately, Anna did suffer where her body would swell and she would be foul vomiting coming out of her. So we do know that she suffered quite a lot. Another fascinating thing about Anna was, though her lips didn't move, they could hear her calling nuns different names in foul language and telling them things of their past sins. Anna actually predicted a car crash which happened to one of the priests. After 23 days and 23 nights, the exorcism was successful at the end. Unfortunately, it did affect a lot of the nuns who treated Anna, and a lot of them transferred within a year into different convents. If you think about Anna's case and all the facts that were given, this young lady suffered tremendously. Did the father cause her? Did he help? No one really knows. We can only hope that Anna's soul is at rest now. Obviously, stories like this made their way into the media. One of the most successful ones was The Exorcist.
It's the power. Holy water. It's the power of Christ that compels you.
Which was one of my personal favourite films. Quite an interesting film. Some of it was based on facts, but it didn't actually happen to a girl, it happened to a young boy. But that's for another discussion. Do remember films such as Exorcism and all that sort of thing are actually inspired, and that's why we get all these horror films. But not a lot of them are based on really true facts. Obviously, they like to glam them up a lot. Same as Poltergeist, etc. Stuff like that. Now we've got a bit of a backstory about it. I'm going to talk about my own personal experiences dealing with such matters like this. One particular case what I remember was a phone call from a doctor about her elderly patient. This particular one, I can't really give too many details on it. I believe the lady's passed over now, but it was in Wem. This lady wasn't possessed in the point of, oh, she had a demon in her. This lady didn't have a demon in her. it was more a case of witchcraft what was mainly involved. So I don't know if I could put that down as possession, or if I could put that down as just a soul connected towards this older lady. There's been a few other cases where there was a police officer who was a body retriever in Birmingham who, with his wife, called me up, and he had a lot of black scratch marks straight across his chest, 3 of them. He was extremely, as you can imagine, upset and worried, so was his wife. But we managed to fix that out. A lot of people who know me will know that I deal in this sort of field where I move spirits and entities, but not everyone is possessed in the sense, oh, they've got a demon with them. They could just have a lost soul that's connected to them. They can just have a spirit which just connected them and trying to share their lives with them, just taking over a little bit. So there is different cases and different scenarios of this, but a lot of these cases with people who claim that they're getting possessed, it seems to be getting more recently. I've noticed over the last 10 years it seems to be picking up a lot more. But this is one of these things where we have to check the best what we possibly can that they don't have any addictions or mental health problems. Obviously I'm not a qualified psychiatrist or anything like that, so I do my best. Obviously some of them could be in their mind as well, not that I'm saying that it's not, but it could be. So the case is, I go out, investigate, check for the signs, scratch marks, knocking, smells, unusual strength, etc., stuff like that, which we've had a case quite recently in Leeds where we've come across this with a chap who was a doorman who had extremely strong strength for the size of him, and that was quite a nervous experience. We do have some of it on tape as well. We do have photographs of when we were doing this session with this younger man. But so far he's told me and he's emailed me everything's fine and his mum's fine and she's able to walk around the house, etc., stuff like that. So what you really need to do is get proper advice on it, and you have to make sure that you get the proper people in to help you who deal in these sort of fields. So in reflection on this, are we looking at actual demons, or are we just looking at lost spirits or lost souls who cannot connect to the spirit world but would rather connect to us in our life and use our life force? It's an interesting subject. There's so much involved with that. Okay, so we've talked about possession, and I'm going to give you my point of view on it, what I take from it. I do believe that demons do exist. There's no question about that in my mind. But I also believe as well that we do have malevolent bad spirits, people who, i.e., grab onto life, want to share life with us, want to be in this part of our ether. So yes, demons are definitely, as far as I'm concerned, do exist. I believe there's quite a lot of them. I do think that they try to influence us as well and try to make us do things that we normally wouldn't do. I also believe that you can be possessed by actual spirits who are not very nice spirits, and whatever their agenda is, you know, we just don't know. We can only surmise. As far as I'm concerned, we are best to deal with these situations and try and get everything sorted out and get the best people we possibly can in to help, such as if it's demonologist, etc. Do try the local priest as well, ministers, anybody who you can get involved who can help you, but they will all go through the same system, generally speaking. And if you have anything that you'd like to ask about it, do email me, do get involved, do share this on the page. And don't forget that we'll be doing live readings on Sunday. So if you do want to get in for a live reading, all you have to do is share the page, stick your name in, and we will select people from there on the system what we've got. And see you next time in Patrick's Point of View.